So it's the third year that Silver Band has been around, and as we were getting ready to start this year, one of the things that I thought about was, even though all these students have a chance to work with our different staff members in sectionals, in other ensembles, they've only had one conductor so far. And so one of the things that we needed to do was give them a chance to work with some other people. And I'm really, really excited that we were able to do that this fall. And it's been a real privilege and a joy to watch them working with another teacher. So, on to conduct Alfred Reed's beautiful setting of Greensleeves. Please help me welcome to the podium my friend and colleague, Jonathan Bradshaw. Many of our students are familiar with the music of James Swearingen. He was a band director in Grove City and a professor at Capital University. And he writes lots of music for middle school and high school band and does a great job with lots of different kinds of music. This is a very special piece. It has a very specific story that he recommends that is shared with the audience members so that they can appreciate a little bit more what the piece is about and where it gets its title. Mr. Swearingen took some of the music that you're going to hear from the hymn tune, God of Our Fathers, but he took the inspiration for a story about 4 chaplains and the heroism that they showed in the North Atlantic during World War II. So I've asked 3 of our students, Adrian Thomas, Destiny Zane, and Alexis Sampson, to come and share a portion of the story that Mr. Swearingen read that inspired him to write The Light Eternal.
On Saturday, January 23, 1943, the rafidic luxury cruise liner, the SS Dorchester, sailed from New York City carrying 524 soldiers. The young men aboard were nearly aware that they were heading into dangerous waters. As Nassau submarines have been sinking, Allied ships faster than they can be replaced. As the ship journeyed far away from home, those on board practiced various drills and alerts in the frigid waters of the Atlantic North. 10 days after leaving New York City, the men of Dorchester were awakened at 12:55 in the morning of cries of, "We've been hit!" German U-boat 456 had been torpedoed the Dorchester, and the damage would proven most fatal to the ship. For all the practice alerts, nothing seemed to go right. Without power, the radio was silenced. No one thought to send a distress flare and to escort vessels pushed into the darkness, unaware that the Dorchester was sinking. Overcrowded lifeboats capsized, rafts drafted away before anyone could reach them.
The men milled around on deck, on the ragged edge of panic. Many came up from the hold without life jackets. The testimony of survivors tells us that the sole order in that ferment of struggling men, the only fragment of hope, came from 4 chaplains, who suddenly appeared on the steeply sloping starboard side. Calmly, they guided men to their boat stations. They opened a storage locker and distributed life jackets. Then they coaxed men, frozen with fear, over the side. Private William B. Bednar was floating in oil-smeared water, surrounded by debris and dead bodies. The ship loomed over him. I could hear men crying, pleading, praying, swearing, he recalled. I could also hear the chaplains preaching courage. With his last strength, Bednar swam out from under the ship and crawled aboard a life raft. Their voices were the only thing that kept me going. On the promenade deck, Second Engineer Grady Clark saw the chaplains coolly handing out life jackets from the lockers until there were no more left. Then he watched in awe as they gave their own away. By now, the rail was awash, and Clark slipped into the frigid water. Looking back as he swam away, he saw the chaplains standing, their arms linked, braced against the slanting deck. They were praying.
Other men drew close. There were no more outcries, no panic, just words of prayer in Latin, Hebrew, and English, addressed to the same God. Then the stern came high out of the water, and the Dorchester slid down into the sea. Of the 904 men aboard the troop carrier, 605 were lost. Those who lived will never forget the chaplain's heroism, said John Ladd, one of the survivors. It was the finest thing I've ever seen, or hope to see, this side of heaven. By vote of Congress on January 18th, 1961, a special Medal of Heroism, the only one ever given, was posthumously awarded to the four chaplains, George Lansing Fox, Alexander David Good, Clark Poling, and John Washington. Over half a century later, the legend of the four chaplains speaks to something deep in our hearts. For Father Washington did not call it for a Catholic when he handed over his life jacket, nor Rabbi Good for a Jew. They gave them to the next soldier in line, and then stood shoulder to shoulder in mutually supporting faith. This is the ideal of brotherhood. This is what we all want in America. This is what the four chaplains gave us.
James Swearingen's The Light Eternal.